Chapter 3 Four seas and 1,000 mountains all about to submit from the Ninefold Darkness. 10 species named are removed. Now we are speaking of the handsome Monkey King's triumphant return to his home country. After slaying the monstrous king of havoc and wresting from him the huge scimitar, he practiced daily with little monkeys in the art of war, teaching them how to sharpen bamboos for making spears, file wood for making swords, arrange flags and banners to go on patrol, and advance or retreat to the pitch camp. For a long time he played with them, and thus he grew quiet and sat down thinking out loud to himself. The game we are playing here may turn out to be some quite serious. Suppose we disturb the rules of humans, of fowls, or beasts, they become offended. We suppose to say that these military exercises of ours are subversive, and we raise an army to destroy us. How can we meet them with our bamboo spears and wooden swords? We must have sharp swords and fine halberds. But how can that be done at this moment? When the monkeys heard this, they were all alarmed. The great king's authorization is sound, they said. But where can we obtain these things? As we're speaking, the 4 older monkeys came forward, 2 female monkeys with red buttocks and 2 bareback gibbons, coming to the front, and they said, "Great king, to be furbished sharp-edged weapons is a simple matter." "How is it simple?" asked Wukong. The 4 monkeys replied, "East of our mountain, across 200 miles of water, is boundary of Aloi country. It's a country where the king has numberless men and soldiers in his city, and there are all kinds of metalworks there. If the great king goes there, he can neither buy weapons nor make them. He can teach us how to use them and for protection for our mountain. This will be a stratagem for assuring ourselves the perpetuity of." When Wukong heard this, he was filled with delight. "Play here, all of you," he said. "Let me make a trip. Dear Monkey King." He quickly performed his cloud somersault and crossed 200 miles of water in no time. On the other side, he did indeed discover a city with broad streets and huge marketplaces, countless houses and numerous arches. Under the clear sky and the bright sun, the people were coming and going constantly. Wukong thought to himself, "There must be a ready-made weapon around here. But if we're going down to buy a few pieces, it's not as good as a bargain acquiring them by magic." Therefore, he made a magic sign to recite a spell, facing the ground. On the southwest, he took a deep breath and then blew out. At once it became high and mighty wind, hurling pebbles and rocks throughout the air. It was truly terrifying. Thick clouds in the vast formation moved in the moire of the world. Black fog and dusty vapor darkened the earth. Waves churned in the seas and rivers, all frightening fishes and crabs. Broke in the mountains forests, wolves and tigers taking flight. Traders and merchants were gone from the stores and shops. Not a single man was seen at the sultry marts and malls. A king retreated into his chamber from the royal court. Officials, martial and civil, returned to their homes. This wind toppled the Buddha's throne of 1,000 years and shook the foundation of the 5 Phoenix Tower. The wind arose, and a separate king from his subjects in Aloi country. Throughout the various bodivars and marketplaces, every family bolted the doors and windows so no one dared go outside. Wukong lowered his direction of his cloud and rushed straight to the imperial gate. He found his way into the armory, knocked open the doors, and saw there were countless weapons inside: scimitars, spears, halberds, battle axes, scythes, whips, rakes, drumsticks, drums, bows, arrows, forks, lances, every kind was available. Highly pleased, Wukan said to himself, "How many pieces can I possibly carry myself? I better use my magic body of division to transport them." "Dear Monkey King," he plucked a handful of his hairs and chewed them into pieces in his mouth, and spat them out, reciting a spell. He cried, "Change!" They became into 1,000 little monkeys and snatched and grabbed those weapons. Those who were stronger took 6 or 7 pieces. The weaker ones took 2 or 3 pieces. And together they emptied out the armory. Wukan mounted his clown and performed the magic of displacement by calling up the great wind, which carried all the little monkeys back to their homes. We tell you now about the various monkeys, both great and small, who were heard playing outside in the cave of the Flower Fruit Mountain. They suddenly heard the sound of the wind and saw mid-air a huge horde of monkeys approaching. The sight made them all flee in terror and hide. In the moment, Wukong lowered his cloud, and shaking himself, cutting the pieces of his hair back into his body, all the weapons were piled in front of the mountain. "Little ones," he shouted, "come receive your weapons." The monkeys looked and saw Wukong standing alone on level ground. They came running in contour and asked what happened. Wukong recounted them how he made use of the mighty wind to transport the weapons. After expressing their gratitude, all the monkeys went to grab all the scimitars and snatch the swords and wield the axes and scramble for spears, to stretch the bows and mount the arrows. Shouting and screaming, they all played all day long. The following day marched in formation as usual. Assembling the monkeys, Wukong found there were 47,000 of them. This assembly greatly impressed all the wild beasts of the mountain: wolves, insects, tigers, leopards, mouse, deer, fallow deer, river deer, foxes, wildcats, badgers, lions, elephants, apes, spears, antelopes, boar, mucks, oxen, chamois, and green one-horned buffaloes, wild hares, and giant mastiffs, led by various demon kings of no fewer than 72 caves. They all had come to pay homage to the Monkey King. Henceforth they brought an annual tribute and entered roll call made every season. Some of them joined in the maneuvers in the supplied provisions. In accordance with their rank, in an orderly fashion, they made an entire Flower Fruit Mountain, as strong as the iron bucket of City of Metal. Various demon kings, who also presented drums and colored banners and helmets of hurly-burly marching, drilling, went day after day. While the handsome Monkey King was enjoying all this, he suddenly said in multitude, "You all have become adept with the bow and arrow and proficient in the use of weapons, but the scimitar of mine is truly cumbersome, not all to my liking. What can I do?" The 4 elder monkeys came forward and memorialized. "The great king is a divine sage, and therefore it is not fit for him to use earthly weapons. We do not know, however, whether the great king is able to take the journey through the water." "Since we have known a way," said Wukong, "I have the ability of 72 transformations. The cloud somersault is unlimited power, and I am familiar with the magic body and concealment and the magic of displacement. I can find my way to heaven, or I can enter earth. I can walk past the sun and the moon without casting a shadow. I can penetrate stone and metal without hindrance. A water cannot drown me, nor fire burn me. Is there any place I can't go?" "It's a good thing that the great king possesses such powers," said the 4 monkeys. "For the water below the iron sheet bridge of ours flows directly to the dragon palace of the Eastern Ocean. If you are willing to go down there, the great king, you will find an old dragon whom you may request some kind of weapon. Won't that be to your liking?" Hearing this, Wukong said with delight, "Let me make the trip. Dear Monkey King, He jumped off the bridgehead and employed the magic water restriction, making a magic sign with his fingers and leaping into the waters, which parted him as he followed the waterway, straight to the bottom of the Eastern Ocean. As he was walking, he suddenly ran into Yaksha on patrol, who stopped him with a question. What? Divine Sage, is this who comes pushing through the water? Speak plainly so that I can announce your arrival. Wukon said, I am the heaven-born sage Sewukon of Flower Fruit Mountain, a new neighbor of yours, your old dragon king. How is it that you don't recognize me? When the Yaksha heard this, he hurried back to the water crystal palace to report. Great king, he said, there's an outsider, a heaven-born sage of Flower Fruit Mountain named Sun Wukon. He claims to be a near neighbor of yours and arrived at the palace. Ao Guan, the dragon king of the Eastern Ocean, arose immediately, accompanied by the dragon sons and grandsons, shrimp soldiers, crab generals. He came out and reception. High Immortal, he said, please come in. They went into the palace for proper introduction, and after an offering, Wukon honored a seat and tea. The king asked, when did the High Immortal become accomplished in the way of the kind of divine magic did he receive? Wukon said, since the time of my birth, I have led my family to practice self-cultivation. I have now acquired birthless and deathless body. Recently, I have been teaching my children how to protect the mountain's cave, and unfortunately, I'm without a appropriate weapon. I have heard that my noble neighbor, who has enjoyed living in the Green Jade Palace in the shell portals, must have had many divine weapons to spare. So I came specifically to ask you for one of them. When the Dragon King heard this, he could hardly refuse, so he ordered a perch commander to bring out long-handled scimitars and present it to his visitor. Old Monkey does not know how to use a scimitar, said Wukong. I beg you to give me something else. The Dragon King commanded the Whiteling Lieutenant, together with the Eel Porter, to carry out a 9-pronged fork. Jumping down from the sea, Wukong took hold of it, and a few thrusts he put it down, saying, light, much too light. It doesn't suit my hand. I beg you, give me another one. High Immortal, the Dragon King said, laughing. Won't you even take a closer look? This fork weighs 3,600 pounds. It doesn't suit my hand. It doesn't suit my hand. The Dragon King was becoming rather fearful. He ordered a Bream Admiral Crab to Brigadier to carry out a giant halberd weighing 7,200 pounds. When he saw this, Wukong ran forward, took hold of it. He tried a few thrusts and parried, stuck to the ground, saying, it's still too light, much too light. The Dragon King was completely unnerved. High Immortal, he said, there's no weapon in my palace heavier than this halberd. Laughing, Wukong said, as the old saying goes, who worries about the Dragon King's lacking treasures? Go look for something more, and if you find something I like, I'll offer you a good price. There really aren't any more here, said the Dragon King. As they were speaking, the Dragon Mother and her daughter slipped out and said, Great King, we can see that this is definitely not the sage of meager abilities. Inside our ocean treasury is pieces that rare magic iron by the depth of heavenly river is fixed. These past few days, the iron has been glowing a strange, lovely light. Could this be a sign that could be taken out to meet the sage? That, said the Dragon King, was a measure within the great yew. Fix the depths of the river and oceans. When he conquers the flood, it's piece of magic and iron. But what could be of use to him? Let's not be concerned whether he could find use for it, said the Dragon Mother. Let's give it to him so he can do whatever he wants with it. The important thing is to get him out of this palace. said the old Dragon King, agreed to tell Sun Wukong the whole story. Take it out and let me see it, said Sun Wukong. Waving his hands out, the Dragon King said, We can't move it, we can't even lift it. High Immortal must go there and take a look. Where is it? Said Wukong. Take me there. The Dragon King accordingly led him to the center of the ocean treasury, where all he saw 1,000 shaft golden light pointing to the The Dragon King accordingly led him to the center of the ocean treasury, where all at once they saw 1,000 shafts of golden light. Pointing to the spot, the Dragon King said, That's it. That's the thing that's glowing. Wukong girded up his clothes and went forward to touch it. It was like an iron rod more than 20 feet long and as thick as a barrel. Using it with all his might, he lifted with both his hands, saying, It's a little too long and too thick. It would be more servable if it was somewhat shorter and thinner. Hardly had he finished speaking when the treasury shrunk a few feet in length and become a layer thinner. Smaller still would have been better, said Wukong, giving another bounce in his hands. Then again the treasure became smaller. Highly pleased, Wukong took out the ocean treasury to examine it. The golden hoop at each end with a solid black iron in between. Immediately adjacent to one of the hoops in descriptions, the complacent golden hooped rod weighed 13,500 pounds. He thought to himself in secret delight, This treasure, I suppose it must be the most compliant of one's wishes. As he walked deliberating, his mind murmuring to himself, and bound the rod hand, shorter and thinner would still be marvelous. By the time he took it outside, the rod was no more than 20 feet in length and its thickness of a rice bowl. And now has displayed his power now. He has wielded the rod and made lunges and passes and engaging in mock combat all the way to the Water Crystal Palace. The old Dragon King was so terrified that he shook with fear, and the Dragon Prince all the Dragon Princes were in panic stricken. Sea turtles and tortoises drew their necks. Fishes, shrimps, and crabs hid themselves. Wukong held the treasure in his hand, sat in the Water Crystal Palace, laughing as he said to the Dragon King, I'm indebted to you, to my good neighbor, for this profound kindness. Please don't mention it, said the Dragon King. This piece of iron is very useful, said Wukong. But I have one further statement to make. What sort of statement does this high immortal wishes to make? Asked the Dragon King. Wukong said, Had there been no such iron, would you have let the matter drop? I would have let the matter drop. Now that I have it in my hand, I can see that I'm wearing the wrong kind of clothes to go with it. What am I to do? If you have any martial apparel, you might as well give me some too. I would thank you most heartily. This, I must confess, is not in my possession, said the Dragon King. Wukong said, A solitary guest will not disturb two hosts. If you claim that you have not any, then I shall never walk out of this door. High Immortal must take the trouble of going to another ocean, said the Dragon King. He might turn up something up there. To visit the three homes is not as convenient as sitting in one, said Wukong. I beg you give me one outfit. I do not have one, said the Dragon King. If I did, I would have presented to you. Is that so? Said Wukong. Let me try the iron on you, High Immortal. The Dragon King said nervously. Don't ever raise your hand. Don't ever raise your hand. Let me see whatever my brothers have. Anything, and we'll give you one. Where are your honored brothers? Asked Wukong. They are, said the Dragon King, Ouching, the Dragon King of the Southern Ocean, Ouchun, Dragon King of the Northern Ocean, and Arun, Dragon King of the Western Ocean. Old Monkey is not going to their places, said Wukong. As far as the common saying goes, 3 in bond can't compete with 2 in hand. I'm merely requesting you find something casual here and give it to me. That's all. "There's no need for the High Immortal to go anywhere," said the Dragon King. "I have in my palace an iron drum and a golden bell. Whenever it's said there's an emergency, we beat the drum and strike the bell, and my brothers will be here shortly." "In that case," said Wukong, "go beat the drum and strike the bell." The Turtle General went at once to strike the bell, while the Tortoise Marshal came to beat the drum. Soon after the drum and bell had sounded, the Dragon Kings of the oceans got the message and arrived promptly, all congregating the outer courtyard. "Elder brother," said Ouching, "what emergency has made you beat the drum and strike the bell?" "Good brother," answered the old dragon, "it's a long story. We have a certain heaven-born sage from Flower Fruit Mountain who came here to claim him to be my near neighbor. He subsequently demanded a weapon. A steel fork presented. He deemed it too small. A halberd I offered him too light. And finally, he took a piece of rare divine iron, which was depth in heavenly river, was fixed to use for mock combat. He is now sitting in my palace, also demanding some sort of battle dress. We have none that here, so we sound the bell and drum, inviting you all to come here. If you happen to have some sort of outfit, please give it to him so I can send them out of this door." When Ouching heard this, he was outraged. "Let us brothers call our army together," he said, "and arrest him." "What's wrong with that?" "Don't talk about arresting him," the old dragon said. "Don't talk about arresting him. That piece of iron, a small stroke with it is deadly enough. A light tap is fatal. The slightest touch will crack the skin, and a small rap will injure the muscles." Outrun, the Dragon King of the Western Ocean, said, "Second elder brother should not raise his hand against him. Let us rather assemble an out for him and let him get out of this place. Then we can present the formal complaint to heaven. Heaven will send its own punishment." "You are in the right," said Aoshun, the Dragon King of the Northern Ocean. "I will have here a pair of cloud-trending shoes, the color of lotus root." Arun, the Dragon King of the Western Ocean, said, "I have brought along a citrus of chain mail made of yellow gold, and I will have a capped red phoenix plumes made of red gold." Said Ouching, the Dragon King of the Southern Ocean. The old dragon was delighted, and brought them into the water crystal palace, present them as gifts. Wukong dutifully put on the gold cap, gold citrus, and the cloud-trending shoes, and wielded his combat rod, and fought his way out in mock combat, yelling to the dragons, "Sorry to have bothered you." The dragon kings of the four oceans were outraged, and they were consulted together about filing a formal complaint, which we made no mention here. "Look at the Monkey King." He opened up the waterway and went straight back to the head of the sheer iron bridge. The four old monkeys leading the other monkeys and waiting beside the bridge. They suddenly beheld Wukong leaping out of the waves. There was not a drop of water on his body as he walked onto the bridge, all radiant golden. The various monkeys were so astounded they all knelt down crying, "Great King, what marvelous, what marvelous!" Beaming brightly, Wukong ascended from his high throne and set up an iron rod right at the center. Not knowing any better, all the monkeys came and tried to pick the treasure up. It was rather like a dragonfly attempting to shake an ironwood tree. They could not budge it an inch, biting at their fingers and sticking out their tongues. Every one of them said, "Oh, Father, it's so heavy. How did you ever manage to bring it here?" Wukong walked up to the rod, stretching out his his hand, and picked up, laughing, said to them, "Everything has its owner. This treasure is presented in the ocean's treasury. For those who know, many 1,000 years is having the gold recently. The Dragon King only recognized this piece of black and iron. Though it is also said to be a divine rarity, where it can be fixed in the bottom of the heavenly river, all those fellows together could not lift or move it, and they asked me to take it myself. At first it was more than 20 feet long, and as thick as a barrel. After I struck it once, I was impressed, feeling it was too large. It grew smaller. I wanted it to be smaller still, and again it grew smaller. For a third time I commanded it. It grew smaller still, and when I looked at it, the light had been inscription. The complete golden hoop rod weighed 13,500 pounds. Stand aside, all of you. Let me ask you to go through some more transformation. He held the treasure in his hands and called out, smaller, smaller, smaller. And once it shrank to the size of a tiny embroidery needle, it was small enough to be hidden inside his ear. Awestruck, the monkeys cried out, Great King, take it out and play with it some more. The Monkey King took it out from his ear and placed it in his palm. Bigger, 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 he shouted, and it grew to the thickness of a barrel and more than 20 feet long. He became so delighted playing with it that he jumped onto the bridge and walked out of the cave. Grasping the treasure in his hands, he began to perform magic cosmetic intimidation. Bending over, he cried, Grow! And once it grew to 10,000 feet tall, with the head of a time mountain and the chest of a rugged peak, eyes lightning at the mouth of a blood bowl, the teeth like swords and halberds. The rod in his hands was such size as its top reached a 33rd of heaven and its bottom reached an 18th layer of hell. Tigers, leopards, and wolves, crawling creatures of all monsters on the mountain, and demon kings of 72 caves were so terrified that they kowtowed and paid homage to the Monkey King in fear and trembling. Presently, he revoked his magical appearance and changed the treasure back into a tiny embroidery needle and soared it into his ear. He returned to the cave dwelling, but the demon kings of various caves were so frightened they continued to come pay their respects. At this time the banners were unfurled, the drums sounded, and the brass gongs struck loudly. A great banquet of 100 delicacies was given. Cups were filled to overflowing to the fruit of the vines and the juices of the coconut. They drank and feasted for a long time and engaged in military exercises as before. The Monkey King made the 4 old monkeys mighty commanders of his troops, and appointing 2 female monkeys with red buttocks as marshals, Ma and Liu. The 2 bareback gibbons as generals, Bang and Ba. 4 mighty commanders, moreover, were entrusted with all matters concerning fortification, pitching camps, forward reward, and punishment. Having settled all this, the Monkey King felt completely at ease to soar to the clouds and ride in the mist, to tour the 4 seas of disport himself in 1,000 mountains, displaying his martial skills, and made extensive visits to various heroes and warriors, performing his magic, and made many good friends. At this time, moreover, he entered the fraternal alliance with 6 other monarchs, the Bull Monster King, the Dragon Monster King, the Guaduna Monster King, the Giant Lynx King, the Macaque King, the Guaduran King, together with in hand some Monkey King. They formed the Fraternal Order of the 7. The day after day they discussed civil and military arts, and exchanged in wine cups and goblets, sang and danced to songs and strings. They gathered in the morning and parted in the evening. There were not a single pleasure that they overlooked, covering the distance with 10,000 miles, as if there were nothing but a span of their own courtyard, as is said it has. One nod of the head goes farther than 3,000 miles. One twist of the torso covers more than 800. One day, the 4 mighty commanders had been told to prepare for a great banquet in their own cave, and 6 kings were invited to the feast. They killed cows and slaughtered horses. They sacrificed to heaven and earth. The various imps were ordered to dance and sing. They all drank until they were thoroughly drunk. After sending the 6 kings of Wukong, also rewarded the leaders, great and small, with gifts, reclining the shade of the pine trees near the sheet iron bridge. He fell asleep in that moment. The 4 mighty commanders let the crown to form a protective circle around him, not daring to raise their voices. In his sleep, the handsome Monkey King saw 2 men approach with summons of 3 characters. Sun Wukong was written on it. They walked up to him and without word tied him up with a rope and dragged him off. The soul of the handsome Monkey King was reeling side to side. As they reached the edge of the city, the Monkey King was gradually coming to himself. When he lifted his head, he suddenly saw the city an iron sign bearing large letters of the 3 words, Region of Darkness. The handsome Monkey King once became fully consciousness. The region of darkness is the abode of Yama, King of Death, he said. Why am I here? Your age in the world of life has come to an end, 2 men said. The 2 of us were given this summons to arrest you. When the Monkey King heard this, he said, I, old Monkey King myself, has transcended the 3 regions and 5 phases. Hence, I am no longer under Yama's jurisdiction. Why is he so confused that he wants to arrest me? The 2 summoners paid scant attention. Yan King pulled, and they were determined to haul him inside. Growing angry, the Monkey King whipped out his treasure with one wave, turned it into the thickness of a rice bowl, and raised his hand once again. The 2 summoners were reduced to ash. He untied the rope, freed his hands, and fought his way into the city. Unwielding the rod, the bull-headed demons hid in terror. Horse-faced demons fled in every direction. A band of ghost soldiers ran up to the Palace of Darkness, crying, Great kings, disaster, disaster! Outside there is a hairy-faced thunder god fighting his way in. The report alarmed the 10 kings of the underworld so much that they quickly straightened out their attire and went out to see what was happening. Discovering a fierce and angry figure, they lined up accordingly at the ranks and greeted him in loud voices. High Immortal, tell us of your name. High Immortal, tell us of your name. I am heaven-born sage Sun Wukong from the water-curtain cave in the Flower Fruit Mountain, said the Monkey King. What kind of officials are you? We are the Emperors of Darkness, they answered, the 10 kings bowing. The 10 kings of the underworld. Tell me each of your names at once, said Wukong, or I'll give you a thrubbing. The 10 kings said, We are King Qingjuan, King of the Beginning River, and King of the Song Emperor, King of the Avenging Ministers, King of Yama King, King of Equal Ranks, King of Thigh Mountain, King of City Markets, King of Complete Change, and King of Tunnel Turning Wheel. Since you have ascended to the thrones of kingship, said Wukong, you should be intelligent beings, responsible in rewards and punishments. Why are you so ignorant of good and evil? Old Monkey has acquired the Tao and attained immortality. I enjoy the same age as heaven, and I have transcended 3 regions and leapt to the clear of the 5 phases. Then why do you send men to arrest me? High Immortal, said the 10 kings, let your anger subside. There are many people in this world with the same name and surname. We couldn't have summoners made a mistake. Nonsense, nonsense. The proverb said, officials err, clerks err, but the summoners never errs. Quick, bring out your register of births and deaths, and let me have a look. When the 10 kings heard this, they invited him to go into the palace and see for himself. Holding a complaint rod, Wukong went straight up to the Palace of Darkness, facing south, sat down in the middle of the 10 kings, immediately had the judge in charge of the records and bring out the book for examination. The judge, who did not dare tarry, hastened into the side room and brought out 5 or 6 book documents, letters of 10 species of living beings. He went through them one by one, short-haired creatures, furry creatures, winged creatures, crawling creatures, scaly creatures, but he did not find his name. Then proceeded to the file of monkeys. You see, though this monkey resembled a human being, he was not listed on the names of men. Though he resembled other animals, he was not subject to a unicorn. Though he resembled flying creatures, he was not governed by the phoenix. He had therefore a separate ledger, which Wukong examined himself under the heading Soul 1350. He found his name Sun Wukong recorded, with the description heaven-born stone monkey, age 342 years, a good end. Wukong said, I really don't remember my age. All I want is to erase my name. Bring me a brush. The judge hurriedly fetched a brush and soaked it in ink heavy. Wukong took the ledger on the monkeys and crossed all the names he could find. Throwing it down the ledger, that ends that account, said the end of that account. Now I am truly not your subject. Brandishing his rod, he found his way out of the region of darkness. The 10 kings did not dare approach him. They went instead to the green cloud palace to consult the Buddhisa, the king of Kirsobana, and made plans to report the incident to heaven, which does not concern us for the moment. While our Monkey King was finding his way out of the city, he was suddenly caught in a clump of grass and stumbled. Waking up with a start, he realized it was all a dream. As he stretched himself, he heard 4 mighty commanders and various monkeys crying out with a loud voice, "Great King, how much wine did you imbibe? You spent all night long. Aren't you awake already?" "Sleeping is nothing to get excited about," said Wukong. "But I dreamed that 2 men came to arrest me, and I didn't perceive their intention until they brought me to the outskirts of the region of darkness, showing me my power. I protested right up into the palace of darkness and argued with the 10 kings. I went through our ledger of births and deaths and crossed out all our names. Those fellows have no hold over us now." Various monkeys all kowtowed and expressed their gratitude. From that time onward, there were many mountain monkeys who did not grow old, for their names were not registered in the underworld. When the handsome Monkey King finished his account of what happened, the 40 mighty commanders reported that the story of the Demon King of various caves who came to attend their congratulations. Only a few days had passed when the 6 sworn brothers also came to congratulate him. All of them had been delighted of the cancellation of the names. We shall not be elaborate here in their joyful gathering. We shall turn to, instead of the great benevolent sage of heaven, celestial Jade Emperor, the most venerable diva. Most was court one day in a treasure hall of divine mist, the cloud palace of golden arches, divine ministers, civil and ministry that were just gathering for the morning session, when suddenly a Taoist immortal, Jing Honsui, announced, "Your Majesty, outside the translucent palace, Ao Guan, the Dragon King of the Eastern Ocean, is waiting for your command to present the memorial to the throne." The Jade Emperor gave an order to him and brought forth Ao Guan and led him to the hall of divine mist. After he paid his respects, the divine page boy was in charge of documenting and received the memorial. The Jade Emperor read it and began the memorial and said, "From the lowly water region of the Eastern Ocean at the East Puravaha, the continent, the small dragon subject Ao Guan humbly informs the wise Lord of Heaven, the most imminent high god and ruler of the bogus immortal, Sun Wukong, Lord of the Flowerful Mountain and resident of Water Curtain Cave, has recently abused your small dragon, gaining a seat in his water home by force, demanding a weapon, employing power of intimidation. He asked for martial attire, unleashing violence and threats, and terrorized my kingsmen, and scattered my turtles and tortoises. The dragon of the southern ocean trembled. The dragon of the western ocean was filled with horror. The dragon of the northern ocean drew back his head in surrender, and your subject Ao Guan flexed his body in obstinance. We presented him our divine treasure of iron rod and golden cap with phoenix plumes, giving him also a chainmail courtesies of cloud-treading shoes. We sent him off courteously, but even then he bent on displaying his martial prowess and martial powers. All he could say was, 'Sorry to have bothered you, but we are indeed no match for him, nor will we be able to subdue him. Your subject has therefore presented this petition and humbly begs for martial justice. We earnestly beseech you dispatch the heaven host and capture this monster, so that tranquility may be restored to the ocean with prosperity to the closure region. Thus, we present this memorial." When the holy emperor had finished reading, he gave a command. Let the dragon god return to the ocean. We shall send our generals to arrest the culprit." The old king gratefully touched his forehead to the ground and left. From below, the immortal elder Ge, the celestial master, had brought forth a report. "Your Majesty, the Minister of Darkness, King Jingchuan, supported by the Bodhisattva of King Sarvana, Pope of the Underworld, had arrived to present his memorial." The Jade Girl in charge of communication came to the side to receive this document, which the Jade Emperor also read from the beginning of the memorial, said, "The region of darkness is neither a region proper to earth, as heaven is for the gods and earth for a ghost. So life and death proceed a cyclic succession. Fowls are born in the animals and die. Female and male multiply. Birds and transformation, male begotten of the prerogative female. Such is the order of nature, but it cannot be changed. Now appears Sun Wukong, a heaven-born baneful monkey from Water Curtain Cave and Flower Fruit Mountain, who practices evil and violence and resists our proper summonings, exercising magic powers. He's utterly defeated the ghostly messengers of Ninefold Darkness, exploiting brute force. He terrorized the 10 merciful kings. He caused great confusion in the palace of darkness. He abrogated by force and register of names, so the category of monkeys will now be on controls. Accordingly, a long life to a simian family. The wheel of transmigration is stopped. From birth and death are eliminated. In the kind of monkey, your poor monk therefore risks offering heavenly authority is presenting this memorial. We humbly beg you send forth divine armor to subdue this monster, to the end that life and death may once more be regulated, and the underworld rendered perpetually secure. Respectfully, we present this memorial." When the Jade Emperor finished reading, he gave a command. "Let the Lord of Darkness return to the underworld. We shall send our generals to arrest this culprit." King Jingchuan touched his head to the ground gratefully and left. The great heavenly deva called his various immortal subjects, both civil and military, and asked, "What is this baneful monkey born, and which generation did he begin his career? How has he become so powerful and accomplished in such a way?" Suddenly, he received speaking from the ranks of 1,000-mile eye and fair wind ears stepped forward. "This monkey," they said, "is a heaven-born stone monkey from 300 years ago. At the time, he did not seem amount to much, so we did not know whether he acquired the knowledge of self-cultivation these last few years and became an immortal. Now he knows how to subdue dragons and tame tigers, and thus he is able to, and well by the force of register of death, which one of your divine generals, asked the Jade Emperor, wishes to go down here and subdue him." Sarcastically, he finished speaking when the long-lived spirit of the planet Venus came forward through the rank and procrastinated himself. "Highest and holiest," he said, "within the 3 regions, all creatures endowed with 9 apart truths through exercise and become immortals. It is not surprising that this monkey, with body nurtured by heaven, earth, and frame born of sun and moon, should achieve immortality, seeing that his head points and his feet walk on earth, and his hand that feeds the dews to the mist. Now he has the power to subdue the dragons and tame tigers. How is he different from a human being? Your subject therefore makes a bold ask to His Majesty. Remember the compassionate grace and actions issued by the degree of pacification. Let him be summoned by the upper region and give him some kind of official duties. His name will be recorded and registered, and we can control him there. He is receptive to the heavenly degree. He will be rewarded and promoted thereafter. But if he is disobedient to your command, we shall arrest him forthwith. Such an action will spare us military and expedition in the first place, and in the second, permit us to perceive our amidst another mortal and orderly manner." The Jade Emperor was highly pleased with his statement and said, "We shall follow the counsel of our minister." He ordered the Star Spirit songs and the letters composed to the decree delegated of the Gold Star Venus become Viceroy of Peace. Having to the degree that the gold star went out to the south, heaven of gate, lowered the direction, and hollowed to the clouds, heading straight to the flower fruit mountain and the water curtain cave. He said, "Various little monkeys, I am heavenly messenger sent from above. I will have with me an imperial decree. Invite your king to the upper region. Report to him this quickly." The monkey kings outside the cave passed the word along, one by one, until it reached the depths of the cave. "Great king," one of the monkeys said, "there's an old man outside bearing a document on his back. He said that he's a messenger from heaven, and an imperial decree of invitation for you." Upon hearing this, the monkey king was exceedingly pleased. "These last 2 days, I was thinking about taking a little trip to heaven, and heavenly messengers already come to invite me." The monkey king quickly straightened his attire, went to the door in reception. The gold star came out to the center of the cave and stood with his face tilted towards the south. "I am the gold star of Venus of the west," he said. "I came down to earth bearing an imperial decree of pacification from the Jade Emperor, to invite you to go to heaven and receive a mortal appointment." Laughing, Wukong said, "I am most grateful for this old star's visit." He gave an order. "Little ones, prepare a banquet to entertain our guests." The gold star said, "As a bearer of imperial decree, I cannot remain here for long. I must ask the great king to go with me at once. After our glorious promotion, you shall have many occasions to converse in our leisure." "We are honored by your presence," said Wukong. "I'm sorry you have to leave this empty hands." When he called forth the mighty commanders together, an animation, "Be diligent in teaching, thrilling the young ones. Let me go up to heaven and take a look and see whenever I can have you all brought up there to live with me." The 4 mighty commanders indicated obedience. This mighty king mounted to the clouds. The gold star rose up to the skies. Truly, he ascends the high rank of mortals from the sky, his name enrolled in the clouds and columns of treasure scrolls. We do not know what sort of rank or appointment he received. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter.